Wrestling fans, are you ready? For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, let's get ready to rumble!
And now, please welcome at this time your hosts, Graham GSM Matthews and RJ Marceau. You're listening to the next era of wrestling radio. This is WrestleRant Radio.
Back here on WrestleRant Radio for the first time ever on Leap Day, February 29th, 2024. Graham GSM Matthews here, being joined by the one, the only Baby Huey, filling in for the one, the only Mr. Marceau here today. Huey, dude, what's going on? We've talked extensively over the years, obviously, but never for this, for the first time here on my show, WrestleRant Radio, dude. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Dude, I am so honored. First off, thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm really excited to join you. Big fan of your work and just everything you do in the whole pro wrestling landscape. So much respect for the hustle you do. And yes, I am very excited to be here with you.
Thanks, man. Well, before we get started here, obviously, like I said, we've talked extensively over the years about wrestling over text, Twitter, in person. Obviously, I haven't seen you since Mania last year. Hope to see you Mania this year. Obviously, I'm sure we will hook up at some point during the weekend. But that being said, I mean, just so much going on since we last spoke. And the funny thing is, we texted on Monday, and you made the comment, we got to do a podcast soon. Mm-hmm. And then my co-host was unavailable this week. RJ couldn't make the show. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, well, if there's anyone I can have the spot to, I got to throw it to, is Huey. Like, you literally just said the day before, we got to speak wrestling soon. And I was like, definitely. And we were able to make it work. And not only that, but you were at Raw on Monday, not at the SA or the SAP Center, it's the SAP Center.
Thank you.
You were there on Monday. So I thought we were just talking about this before I record, but I thought it was only fitting that you come on to talk about it here today.
Oh, perfect timing. Nice coincidence right there. But yes, no, I very excited. No, for you. Yeah, I definitely want to get you back on my podcast in the Click. I've been, For everyone listening right now, I work in radio in San Francisco. I work at a rock station called 107.7 The Bone, and the assistant program director. So there's a lot of duties on my plate, behind the scenes, on air, all that stuff. And so I've been able to record my podcast as much as I want to, just from a timing standpoint. Mm-hmm. And my co-host, Brian Tronick, he's also very busy as well. He has... God, how old's his son now? It's coming up on a couple years old now. He's very busy being a stay-at-home dad. And so a lot of times our schedules are off. And so like when I'm ready to record, he's not necessarily available, and back and forth, vice versa. So my timing's been off. But so I've been thinking I need to maybe start getting some other people on just in case, just to help get more episodes out. So that's where my mindset was when I hit you up. It's like, I want to get you on, and I got some other people I want to, get in the rotation. So if I'm available, but Brian's not, just to get more episodes, I want to get back in the flow, especially as you said, our favorite time of the year, the road to WrestleMania, so much to talk about. And that's my goal, is just to kind of get at least one episode a week out leading up to WrestleMania.
I mean, like you were saying, dude, first of all, I'm awful with introductions, but you just said everything you got going on in the Click podcast. You talked to LA Knight a couple weeks ago, which was awesome, before they went to, where was that show for SmackDown that they hosted?
So no, actually, it was kind of funny. So WWE was coming into the Bay Area for two different shows. So they had a house show in Oakland at the Oakland Arena last Saturday, the Saturday before Elimination Chamber. And then the following Monday, they had a show, SAP Center for Raw. And so I hit up WWE. It's like, hey, can I record an interview with someone to promote both shows? And so they actually asked me, do you want LA Knight or Chad Gable? And I said, I love Chad Gable, but, I know he's a Raw guy technically, but LA Knight's the bigger name right now. So let me talk to LA Knight. So his focus was promoting the house show, because the house shows, have both Raw and SmackDown competitors. Mm-hmm. But, when I was promoting, when I was talking to him, and I said, oh yeah, and we got the house show. It was the road to WrestleMania coming to the Oakland Arena. And then I said, also Monday Night Raw. And he said, he said, let's focus on SmackDown or something. He made a quick offhand comment because he's not a Raw guy. He's a SmackDown guy right now. So it was funny. I was talking to technically a SmackDown member of the roster while promoting a Raw show. But but the point was it was promoting 2 different shows coming to the Bay Area at that time. So, but yeah, no, it was very fun talking to LA Knight. So I think we cover a lot of ground as far as what he's been up to specifically with the Blue brand for the last year plus.
Yeah, and talking his interactions with The Rock too, obviously. I know you asked him about that, and obviously they have a history on Rock show from like 10 years ago or whatever.
Exactly.
Which was a great question to ask him. That wasn't even something on my mind until you asked him that, which I thought was a great question to ask him. But I mean, talking about that before we get into Elimination Chamber and Raw from this past week, but because I don't really talk extensively SmackDown here on the show just because it'll be a bit outdated by the time this goes up. But what have been your thoughts so far as The Rock on SmackDown doing the heel stuff and them kind of pivoting the Cody Rhodes and Roman match? Because you know Cody's your guy. Yes,
exactly. I'm a big Cody guy. So full disclosure, I just turned 40 years old. So for me, I grew up. Thank you. So I grew up in the Attitude Era. So the Attitude Era was my middle school and high school years. So that's a really special part of my life there. And so obviously The Rock coming to his own during those years was a big part of my youth. And so seeing The Rock back on SmackDown, pretty much cutting a promo as if it was 1998 Rock, the nostalgia vibes were amazing for me. And Graham, you know, like Stone Cold Steve Austin's my all-time favorite wrestler. So 2 years ago, we got to see Stone Cold in Dallas, Texas. And now 2 years later, we get to see The Rock back kind of into a program. So for me, it's like my childhood all over again in various forms in the last couple of years. So I love it. For the promo itself, it was good for what it was. It was like, I like to think of like a classic rock band playing the hits. You know, The Rock was playing, saying his go-to catchphrases or the tone, his delivery was very much like old school Rock. A little bit updated, different sunglasses instead of a really expensive shirt. He had an expensive vest on. And then there's some other, I'm still waiting for him to say some other phrases. So maybe he'll hold that off for different episodes of SmackDown that he'll make future appearances on. Like still waiting for Rudy Poo, Candy Ass, and some other catchphrases. I'm hoping he's going to save and deliver at other points just to spread it out. But, you know, there's a lot of Easter eggs there to break down, which I'm sure we'll get into in a second. There was really a lot to unpack on that initial heel promo. But I do want to commend The Rock and the powers that be with Brian Gerwitz, his right-hand man, creatively. The fact that they saw the response from the WWE Universe a couple weeks ago when Cody kind of more or less handed over his main event match spot with Roman. And to kind of make this pivot for The Rock to go heel and align himself with Roman and join the bloodline. It's exciting. It seems very chaotic right now. And it seems like they're kind of writing this as they go on the go. It's very kind of convoluted right now, but that's the exciting part. We really don't know where they're going. And back to being like me as a kid, teenager again. I don't know what's going on, but that's the great part. It's like, who knows? If they're kind of on the fly making this up as they go, then us as the fans can get super excited for just all the different surprise elements coming our way.
Oh, no, for sure. I mean, I feel like this is the first, maybe not the first, but one of the few road to WrestleManias, probably in the last 10 to 15 years, that truly feels unpredictable. And like for the right reasons, not in the sense where it's like, I mean, a lot of people have gotten hurt and, you know, the Brock thing happened among other stuff in the past month. The CM Punk injury and Rollins getting hurt, but he's going to be cleared soon. So it's all over the place. But I have enough faith, I would say, currently in the creative direction of the company that they will make the most of the situation and what they're doing. Like, for example, like we're not getting Rollins and Punk, unfortunately, and that was the match I really wanted to see for the World Heavyweight Championship in Mania, but they're pivoting to Seth and Drew. And that's a match I probably wouldn't have been overly excited to see even a month or two ago, just because we've already seen it twice before in the past 3 or 4 months. But Drew's killing it right now. We'll get to him a little bit later on, but I mean, he's just doing amazing work, and we're getting that World Heavyweight Championship match going into WrestleMania coming out of Elimination Chamber now that it's made official. But going back to the Rock thing, as you mentioned, the Easter eggs and like the L and, you know, I'm going to make you lose. And he said the Cody thing, but, you know, people, and they had it in the shot, like maybe he was referring to Roman, blah, 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 because he looked at Roman or in that general direction. Like, just thinking big picture here, what do you think is the end game for the Rock Cody Roman thing. Like, do you think Rock is staying heel for a year, or is he just playing double agent here and helping Cody win?
I'm glad you say that. For your listeners out there, this is something I've been like sitting on my own personal time, like processing in my head.
Really?
Like,
Okay.
where's this going? So I have a couple different things. Is like my heart is saying Cody's going to win the title at WrestleMania. He's going to beat Roman, and God, there's some. Yes, the initial reaction. Okay, maybe The Rock is playing double agent. And, Cody hasn't explained fully, kayfabe why he gave up his spot to The Rock and then suddenly come back and take it back, as we saw at the press conference in Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a really cool idea that Rock is playing double agent and he wants to stick it to Roman Reigns and help Cody defeat Roman and end the bloodline. And that way Rock comes back and at the end of the day becomes a babyface again and goes off. And then that can lead to a program between Rock and Roman for a match at WrestleMania 41 or whatnot.
For sure, yeah.
My other thing here, and I don't see enough people talk about this, and let's look at the big picture. Roman Reigns, the person, the character, what he means for WWE. He was Vince's guy. For years, he was like the main guy he wanted to push to the fans and be the new face of the company. Obviously, it didn't work when he was the big dog. The fans did not want to be force-fed Roman Reigns, and obviously led to a lot of booing when he was trying to be the baby face. It wasn't finally till he turned heel and became the tribal chief, had the table where it's starting to click and work and led to the bloodline storyline and everything that's been going on the last few years. It's starting to work. I still think at the end of the day, the big point of this is to get Roman over as the true like top superstar for the company.
Yeah.
Like this is still not a finished product of developing Roman Reigns. As much as we want to see Cody win and do all that stuff, at the end of the day, the big goal here is to still finalize Roman as one of the all-time legends. And how do you do that? I think at the end of the day, as I keep repeating that, is the final piece, the final chapter is Roman needs to become a baby face at some point to really solidify this run of his as a character, because him as a baby face didn't work before. I still think they want that to work at some point. Him going heel for all these years, that's worked. And now people seen his character work and now appreciate it. But the last thing we have not seen is him as a baby face. How do you do that? He needs an even bigger heel to get him over as a baby face. And what better person to do that than like a heel Rock? So if that makes sense, what I'm trying to get at is like, I think Roman to a certain extent is still an unfinished project. Him going heel was very key and important to get him there. He is now one of the all-time greats with this title reign length that he's on right now. He's the new John Cena, or goes from Hogan, Stone Cold, Cena to him now. He's in the conversation of one of the all-time greats, especially for this generation of the roster. But the last piece to really, I think, solidify him is, could he cut it as a babyface for the company? And so, like I said, I think to get that, though, you need someone on that level as a heel to really put him over. So that's why I'm kind of thinking maybe The Rock stays heel for the next year, and maybe Cody beats Roman at WrestleMania. The Rock is so disappointed in Roman. It's like, dude, you embarrassed our family. You embarrassed the bloodline. I'm going to kick you out. And The Rock takes over as the leader of the bloodline and tells everyone, get him, attack him. We're going to jump him out. And that's how Roman becomes a babyface. And then that's how you get Rock versus Roman. But the dynamic is different than I think what everyone predicted. I think everyone predicted, Rock, Roman, whenever that happens, it's going to be Roman, bad guy, Rock, babyface. But no, like let's it'd be interesting if it was the other way around. If Rock stays being a heel and Roman's the babyface, and then he beats The Rock, because Rock's not going to be around forever. Roman gets that win over The Rock, and that helps push him over the edge to as a top baby face, and then really solidify him as one of the all-time legends into that conversation. Where does he rank against the Hogans and the Austins and the Rocks and Flairs, all that stuff. So I think that could be one angle. And like I said, I don't see a lot of people talking about that.
I agree. No, that's exactly what my approach to this angle would have been as well. My mindset as far as where this should go. Now, I don't want to say that's exactly what will happen because we obviously don't know what's going to happen exactly. But as far as I don't know if the company will go in that direction, it doesn't sound like something they would actually do. But then again, if you asked me a month ago, would they actually turn Rock heel and have Cody get back in the main event picture? My answer to that was still no. So they proved me wrong on that one. So it is definitely something that they could do. And you are right. Turning Roman Reigns babyface. It's funny to say that he's still an unfinished project. You're 1,000% right. But what's funny about that is that he's been in the company for 12, 13 years now on the main roster. And they're still working towards that ultimate goal of getting him cheered. And I agree. I feel like if you were to do Rock and Roman at Mania 41, you do the match with the current dynamic of, Rock costing Roman the title, which I don't really think he should. I feel like the focus should be on Cody winning clean against Roman. Roman hasn't been one-on-one in 5 years. I mean, it really should be a big deal and not due to like Rock hitting a rock bottom or something. Maybe early on, I don't know, but I wouldn't even really. I think you're right, though. I feel like you have a bigger story to tell with heel Rock, Roman chasing that. You don't even have to turn Roman heel that night with like them attacking Roman at Mania. You could even drag it out until SummerSlam or something. I mean, you have a whole year to build to the match. Another thing I was skeptical of is will Rock be around? Again, maybe not every week, but will he be around over the next year to build up that story? And I think, honestly, I'm curious what your 2 cents is, but I think the answer is yes. He's going to be on SmackDown for the next 3 weeks. I mean, I don't know if we've ever seen Rock appear on 3 consecutive Raws in the past 20 years. That's pretty cool. So do you think that's something that's feasible, that we could see Rock around more often between now and Mania 41?
Totally. I mean, I don't know what's the locations for all the upcoming SmackDowns, but yeah, he could totally fly in, do his appearance, and cut out there. But I think for him, we know deep down he loves pro wrestling. It's part of who he is, his DNA. And, he is part of the board now of TKO. And so part of, what was it, the $30 million contract he signed to join as part of the board, part of this is, this in-ring return that we're getting here. I think for him, he knows, okay, as of right now, WrestleMania 40 could be the biggest WrestleMania of all time. And he probably realized I need to do my part to help promote this, help sell this. So right now, I don't know if he has, I know he has football probably obligations to promote in the near future, because I think that the USFL, XFL merger, that season starts, I believe, in April or end of March. So I don't know what movie projects he has going on, but I know promoting the football stuff is a big deal. But I think the other priority is promoting WrestleMania. So, and how do you do that? Well, he needs to be on week-to-week television. So I'm sure for him, he realizes, okay, well, part of my job duties for right now is I got to help sell this WrestleMania and this main event. So I would not be surprised he's on SmackDown a lot over these next 5-6 weeks. So that's just him doing his part. That's part of the job right now, just to help sell this WrestleMania.
Come Mania, as of right now, we know he's going to be at WrestleMania, obviously. He's not appearing on these SmackDowns if he's not going to be at Mania itself. He's not facing Roman. I guess anything can change between now and then, but I still don't want to see a triple threat. I think that'd be awful. I think Cody and Roman's the way to go. Keep it that way. But as we kind of bleed into Elimination Chamber, Cody during the show did call out Rock for a match. He said, any place, anytime. Obviously, the only place that match is going to happen is Mania. They're not doing it on Raw in Poughkeepsie, New York next month. Like, they're doing it at WrestleMania. But my question is, and maybe we'll find out by the time SmackDown airs tomorrow, how do you go about doing that? I just feel like they're going to do it night 1 and then Roman Cody night 2. I'm just not overly. I like that idea, and I like the tag team match thing if you want to do that. But I feel like if they were going to do a tag team match, then Cody wouldn't have phrased it the way that he did, kind of making it sound like he wanted a singles match. Do you really have Cody pull double duty between the 2 nights and risk a potential injury? Or like, how would you go about doing that?
I'm not fully behind that idea of Cody wrestling twice. I mean, if he does do that, then I guess the accomplishment of being The Rock night 1 to being Roman night 2 really elevates Cody into like what an amazing accomplishment in a WrestleMania weekend. He beat one of the all-time greats and then beat one of the current all-time great and in his title reign, become WWE champion, finish the stories. There's a lot of bragging rights for Cody if he goes that route, but I'm with you. I'm worried about risking an injury. You know, I don't really feel comfortable in doing that. And I just kind of worry him, doing two matches. It could kind of saturate or overshadow one from the other. Like, I think
I agree.
The focus should be Roman and going for that title, finishing the story, all that stuff. So him having like an extra match on the weekend, it would just take away him, double dipping there. I think that could kind of create a little more harm than good. And I mean, based on the promo, are we just really to believe it has to be before WrestleMania or before that at some point? Or could it be saved for like a crown jewel or, a Saudi show where, big money's on the line for that? I mean, I guess Cody's, did say like, I want you one-on-one, and we assume, it's going to be on a big stage. I'm not a fan of the idea of that, because I just don't, it would just take away from Cody's moment with Roman and all that energy there. Because then people will be asking Cody about The Rock instead of asking about his match with Roman. It would just overshadow that. I mean, hell, we saw when Rock and Roman were leaving the press conference in Las Vegas, Roman was walking ahead. Roman was trailing behind him. He looked like the little brother in the big brother dynamic there. So I just feel like Rock gain a match versus Cody would take away from Roman versus Cody. So I mean, the tag team match seems like a little bit of a better angle there, because if they do the tag match, I could see maybe in the coming weeks, maybe Seth steps in and be like, you know what? You don't have to fight Rock one-on-one. I will join you. Let's do a tag match. I got Roman's number. And I think I was thinking if they do the tag match, maybe Seth pins Roman. It's in a tag match, very similar to how, Jay pinned Roman at their tag match, the Bloodline Civil War last year. But then again, Roman getting pinned first before Cody gets to him, I think that might take away from Cody's moment. There's not a perfect scenario. That's the issue here. And that's kind of what we've been worked into ever since Roman became a unified double champion 2 years ago.
Yeah, I think the big issue here is that I don't know if they promised him or the working idea is that Rock has to wrestle at WrestleMania. I don't think he has to. No. I think they think he has to. They want him at the show. People might arguably and logically bring up the point, how do you have Rock a part of WrestleMania but not wrestle? I can understand that. I mean, at the same time, he appeared at like friggin' 5 Manias in a row 10 years ago, and he didn't wrestle at most of them. He just showed up, did a promo, rock bottomed Eric Rowan. I mean, he wrestled for that one, but for a lot
ripped
of
his pants off. Yeah,
exactly. He would do a lot of the same stuff. I really, really, really do not think he has to wrestle. The tag team thing and the singles thing for me accomplish all the same stuff that you just mentioned. I feel like it takes away from the Cody moment of night 2. Even the tag team match on night 1, if you do the tag team match, you're having Cody and Roman in the ring for the first time in a match for the first time since Mania last year. And when you do it on night 2, it's like, okay, we just saw this last night. I know the title's on the line this time, but it kind of takes away from that aura. That's like Hogan and Andre having a tag team match. They had a 2-night Mania in WrestleMania 3. It kind of takes away from the aura of them looking across from the ring from each other. I don't know. Just my opinion there, but I feel like that would be the way to go. And even if they do Cody and Rock, which I'm kind of convinced they are at this point on night 1, I think Rock would win. And I'm okay with that in the sense that I think they could set up a match for down the road where Cody would have to win the belt on night 2.
Yeah.
And I don't even think that's a lock. Nothing is a lock when it comes to Roman now, because I feel like Roman could retain. I've said this a lot, but there's a very good chance it could happen.
Let me ask you one quick thought is, how important is it for Roman to pass Hulk Hogan's title reign? Because that would be September for him to pass that. How important is that? Because I just feel like, for me, as I said, I'm 40 years old. I've been watching wrestling most of my life. I felt like title reign lengths have not been that big of a deal until within the last year, ever since Roman hit 1,000 days. Like growing up, for me as a kid watching wrestling in the late 80s, watching the rock and roll era, the new generation, attitude era, ruthless aggression era, I felt like title reign length was never brought up. I felt like, if anything, from the commentators and looking back on WWE's history, it was more number of title wins. So specifically Ric Flair and John Cena, Triple H, Randy Orton, like the number of title wins they have. I felt like that was always a bigger number or important number. I just felt like in the last year where that's really been bringing up, Bruno's title reign, Bob Backlund, Hulk Hogan's title reign. I was like, growing up, like I never felt like that was a big deal. Title reign, the length of one reign in particular. But now it's like, I feel like they're making it a big deal. So that's why for me, I'm like, who cares about Hogan's title reign if he beats that or not? Like, who cares? And on top of that, if you want to, be stingy on the details, technically Roman's title reign is the universal title. He's only been WWE champion for coming up on 2 years now. So I would even put a little asterisk next to Roman's title reign as far as Hogan, Bruno, Backlund, all that is the WWE championship from day one to day, whatever, the end of their respective title reigns. I feel like with Roman, his title reign is the universal title. Now, granted, WWE, they're in the era of brand splits and having 2 heavyweight championships on each brand. So the universal title for the last 8 years was the equivalent of the WWE championship. But I'm just, if we're going to pay attention to details like that, I would say Roman's title reign or his reign is not as, it's different than like Hogan's reign. So like, that's me nitpicking there. So that's why, therefore, it should be no problem for Cody to win at Mania this year. Roman has an amazing title reign. He's now technically 4th all time right now. That's fine. Let him have that debate. As far as like where he is on the all-time greats, 4th all-time longest title reign of the post-WrestleMania era that we're in now. And so, I don't know, that's just me nitpicking there, but just I feel like making the big deal about the length of his title reign, like who cares? Like just the more important thing is Cody's story. Let's finish that damn story.
I think if you like Cody, you want to see him finish the story. If you don't like Cody, why wouldn't you want him to finish the story so he can just move on from it and stop talking about it? That's all we hear about is finishing the story. Why wouldn't you just want him to end it?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
And my other thing too is right now, especially on SmackDown, because that's where Roman is with the title, there's so many guys in that main event level or upper mid-card level who are just kind of going through the motions. And like, if there was a championship to go after on a regular basis, because I feel like the template now for the last couple years now, it's like they build up an opponent for Roman, he beats him, then that guy falls back into the line, then they they build up another opponent for Roman, then he beats him, then that person falls back in the line. I feel like Roman needs to lose the title just to free up the main event scene to get fresh matchups for, if it's Cody to beat Roman, fresh matches for Cody against, and then fresh matches for just that title to be defended. And then just gives the guys in that main event level something to go after, and just to kind of keep things fresh on week-to-week television and on the premium live events, just to kind of keep things fresh and then moving along, just to keep things going for the company.
I agree. SmackDown needs a world champion, an active world champion. Again, the Roman Reigns stuff has been great. Listen, I'm a big bloodline, advocate, no pun intended there with Paul Heyman, but as far as just loving the storyline, it's been great. But every story has an end, or at least the next chapter. And this is not another new chapter. I feel like the bloodline stuff peaked when Roman beat Cody at Mania. There was some great stuff for the Usos during the summer. They had an amazing storyline, I thought. I think the stuff really even peaked at SummerSlam when it jumped the shark at SummerSlam, really is what I should say, is when Jimmy cost Jay the title. And then we've been right back to where we were before Mania, after Mania, where it's just all about Roman and he's barely around. And again, that's great and all, but we have someone that's ready to dethrone Roman in Cody Rhodes. We have the right person to do it. Put him on SmackDown. You can turn Roman babyface ultimately. You have to build up another top heel at some point. That's another question for another day, obviously. But listen, I think the biggest thing that people have against Cody winning at Mania, you don't have to like Cody, but the biggest thing that I've heard from people, and I feel like every time I talk to someone about this, you just brought it up there, but you're on my side with this. And I don't know if this is a hot take. The Hulk Hogan record, quote unquote, shit means absolutely fucking nothing, dude. Nothing. It's not the number one record. It's not the same title, and I'm okay with them saying it's the longest title reign since whatever, because it's the longest world title reign in company history since Bruno or whatever. I mean, that's fine. If they want to say that, cool. They can't say it's the longest ever WWE champion. I know Roman holds that belt currently. He's only held it for 2 years and not 4. So I get that. That's fine. But this Hogan stuff is nonsense, dude. He's not number one. Bruno has 2 reigns that are above that one, or at least one of them. And he's not breaking those records. He's not holding it for another 4 or 5 years. He should not hold it for another 4 or 5 years. He shouldn't even hold it till SummerSlam, September, whatever. We need to move on. What, is he going to hold it until September, then drop in October? No. Cody's going to lose twice a Mania to the same guy 2 years in a row. That is ridiculous. And I don't care if Seth cost him the win, Roman. I don't care if I run and cost. It's just stupid. Nothing about it makes any sense, man. I just hate the Hulk Hogan and it has nothing to do with Hogan himself. It has entirely to do with the fact, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
If Roman goes from 3 or 4 on the list to number 3, it does not matter. He's had it this long. It's time to move on.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like I said, like it wasn't the last year where like title reign length has been brought up in conversation. Yeah. Like I said, for anyone who's younger than me listening right now, trust me, growing up in the 90s, early 2000s, it was always about just number of title wins. And so Flair, and then when John Cena was getting closer and closer and Randy Orton was behind him, Triple H as well, like that was always brought up a lot more. And that seemed like the more important number. Title reign length, and especially with Roman, like I said earlier, the asterisk you could put next to it as far as technically it started with the Universal title and just the number of defenses and just how often he actually, like right now, they're just padding for time. As far as, he's at every other premium live event. He wasn't in Elimination Chamber. So he's just been sitting at home collecting days on this title reign. And, like outside of Hogan, the person, just talking about Hogan, the wrestler and his accomplishments, I know the wrestling in the 80s was not as good. And, but you look at, he was defending it a lot on house shows and, every pay-per-view, he was doing a lot more defending with the title compared to Roman Reigns, who he's defending once every 2 to 3 months, if that. And so it's like, it's just building up time. So if he was to win at WrestleMania, like you're going to piss off a lot of fans of goodwill that you built up for all this time. And then
they did that last year too. Yeah. They pissed off a lot of people last year. It would be even worse this year.
Yeah. It's like, what are you going to do? So you're just going to pad, like he won't wrestle again until Money in the Bank in June. And then SummerSlam. And then something in September. The only alternative is if they do some sort of show at like Madison Square Garden and it's like Cody challenges Roman but there's a stipulation, call back to AEW. I want one more opportunity against you. If I lose, I never go after the title again. If I win, then obviously I'm champion. Your reign's done. And they can do this at Madison Square Garden, the home of the story, where the story started with Dusty Rhodes and losing the title. And then this could take place after Roman beats Hogan's title reign. It could be like late September or early October. It could be like a big, I know I saw, something online. It's like, keep in mind the new TV deal WWE has with USA Network, SmackDown going there, but it's going to have 4 like big events on NBC. So could you do like a big TV event for Cody Roman at Madison Square Garden on NBC? Very similar to like the main event back in the day when Hogan finally lost to Andre and Ted DiBiase, all that stuff. That could be a cool callback there. But then again, we still got to wait from the time of this recording, over 6 months? How they're going to fill 6 months of television on SmackDown and keep us interested up until that point? You can't. It's like, it's time to end this Roman Reigns reign, no pun intended, and give Cody the title, finish the story, and then let's move on, give fresh matchups and opportunities for other people on the SmackDown roster.
I agree, man. You know how they're going to drag it out? They're going to have Paul Heyman on his phone saying, call Roman Reigns and call The Rock, which is, listen, it was cute 6 months ago. I'm ready, dude. You were there on Monday. We'll talk about that in a second, but they got to move on. Yes. And I think we can blame CM Punk for the long title reign thing, jokingly, because I feel like it wasn't until his reign 10 years ago, the whole 434 thing, that they really started counting the days. And I love like the length of title reigns. I'm a big stat guy as far as like wrestling goes, but like, oh, he's surpassing this guy. Like I've always loved that sort of stuff. But I think they've gotten to a point where almost every single title reign is over a year long. And I think that needs to be something that's more special. Gunther's an exception. He's a great fighting champion. Cool. but like Bianca held the belt for a year. Becky held the belt for a year. Rhea held the belt for a year. The Usos were champions for 2 years. Roman's been champion for 4 years. I mean, every champion has had a belt for like a year now. We got to have, I'm not saying change the belt every other month, but it's getting a little ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, also remember, like, it was in the Attitude Era. There was a lot more hot potatoing with the title.
That I don't like. Yeah, they did. Yeah.
I mean, well, remember WCW 2000. I mean, the belt changed like, what was it, 30 something times, I think, in that 1 year. So no, I'm with you. Like, within reason, I think like a good title reign can be, 6 to 10 months, kind of maybe like 2/3 of the year. That's, a couple pay-per-view cycles. You can do a couple good programs and then move the belt on to someone else and kind of keep things fresh with fresh matchups and fresh champions for the company.
I agree. And they have a deep enough roster now where there's more than enough people that they could put championships on and create compelling programs, like you said. But talking about Chamber real quickly here, not doing a full in-depth review, but I just thought overall it was just a fun show. It was a 5 a.m. show here, East Coast time, 2 a.m. your West Coast time for your time, which is ridiculous. I watched it later on, thankfully, but I did enjoy the show for what it was. RJ had passed along some notes just saying that he thought Tiffany and Nia were two of the biggest winners coming out of the show. I think so as well. Nia having one of her best matches to date. The men's chamber was good. The women's chamber I thought was great. We already talked about the Cody and Rollins stuff, but just talk about the show a little bit, Huey, as far as your overall impressions of Elimination Chamber.
Really cool with the kickoff show. It was really cool for Indy Hartwell, another Australian, to get a moment in front of her hometown or home country. Yeah. That was cool on the kickoff show. You know me, I love Asuka, so seeing Asuka and Kairi Sane retain the titles, that was just a cool kickoff match. We don't get those too often anymore, so it was cool that they did something just to get the crowd going. Yeah, women's chamber, I think you can make the argument, was probably better than the men's chamber. The men's chamber was safe as far as everyone got their moment to shine. They got to tell a lot of individual stories in there, and now we can maybe discuss later or whatever, but as far as you can kind of get an idea where they're going now to fill up the rest of the card for WrestleMania based on what happened in the chamber. But for the women's chamber specifically, I kind of saw people discuss this. If you think about it, so let's see, women's Survivors or War Games, women's Royal Rumble, women's Elimination Chamber. Am I missing anything else? But you can make the argument the women's matches of these different stipulation type matches have outdone the men in the last handful of pay-per-views. So kudos to the women's roster when it comes to like these pay-per-views. They step up their game and deliver amazing fun matches. I'm with you, Tiffany Stratton, big star. We know she was the heel. The crowd loved her.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
Which was shocking to see, but what a breakout moment for her as far as, she just got called up on SmackDown a few weeks ago. But, did great things at NXT, former NXT women's champion. So to give that opportunity in front of 52,000 people to go out there and deliver like she did. I mean, that's a lot of pressure theoretically, but to go out there and deliver, kudos to her. Bianca looked awesome. I love the Princess Leia inspired outfit from Star Wars.
That's what I thought too. Yeah. Did she confirm that? I don't even know if she's a Star Wars fan, but she rocked the outfit though.
Yeah, exactly. I would think so. It's and then pretty predictable though, as far as Becky winning.
Yeah, for sure.
But then again, I know a lot of people are like, oh, why Becky winning? But think about it. You're trying to sell WrestleMania. Becky is one of, if not the biggest name in the women's roster. So to go up against Rhea Ripley, it's something they've been teasing for a long time. That's a big time matchup, just name value alone on paper. And I'm sure it's going to deliver. I mean, the women's matches, WrestleMania last year were phenomenal. So I anticipate it's going to be just as good, if not better. So it's going to be really exciting here. And I'm excited to see where Becky and Rhea do here. It's been long overdue, the teasing of it. So to finally get it played out, I'm excited for it. But yeah, no, the men's chamber, Logan Paul, give him credit, man, really embracing the heel role with the Sharpie and right on the glass. Kevin Owens going crazy. Actually, it was cool coming into the arena, the stadium with the koala bear. So
that was funny. Yeah. That was cool.
So no, the men's chamber, like I said, everyone got their spots to shine, but it really kind of, I think you kind of see where they're going now with all the different programs leading up to WrestleMania.
Now, I think that was the real takeaway from that show. That, in addition to the fact that predictability isn't always a bad thing. Is this a show I'm going to go back and watch a couple years from now? Probably not. But I mean, the atmosphere alone made it an enjoyable event. And I mean, the thing with these Elimination Chamber shows, Elimination Chamber Fastlane, whatever you want to call it, these pre-Mania shows, they're always predictable because they're setting the stage for the bigger stuff at Mania. They're not going to change. 9 times out of 10, they will not change the world title at these February pay-per-views. They may have once upon a time, 15, 20 years ago. They don't do that so much now.
I was going to say, was it Daniel Bryan had the Fastlane match a few years ago? No title chains were there, but that led to the triple threat, which led to them getting stacked. Him and Edge getting stacked. So yeah, you're right. Yeah. February. Yeah. Nothing major is going to happen. They got the cards in place for WrestleMania.
Exactly. And that's where they're setting up their big matches. And you're right. Listen, if Liv were to be, at this point, maybe not, but if she were to be incorporated, I'm not even like the biggest Liv Morgan fan on the planet, but I've just been saying for 6 months now, I feel like her at Mania facing Rhea would have made sense given the storyline. And I love, the storytelling aspect of it is I'm kind of high on here as well, because that would have been the perfect story to tell. She's on a revenge tour right now. We know they work well together as partners, opponents, whatever. It doesn't look like it's going to happen. I know she was on Raw this week, kind of getting mad that Becky got involved in her match. And, I think that's interesting. And they kind of have a couple different stories they can tell with Liv in there between now and Mania, which is cool. But they set up the predictable matches. But again, these are matches that make sense. Rhea and Becky and they're not just two big stars. I mean, that's a big match they've never even done before, aside from one time in NXT 5 years ago. So that and Seth and Drew, again, kind of going back to that as far as for the World Heavyweight Championship. Drew's killing it right now. Huey, talk about what Drew's doing right now, the work that he's doing, and also seeing him in person on Raw on Monday night and the great stuff he was doing with Seth on that show.
You know me, I love Drew McIntyre. He's probably the number one person I've interviewed the most. I think literally I've interviewed him like 10 times.
Wow, he's done a lot of media over the years.
He's done a lot. Talking to a former WWE PR guy, Adam Hopkins. I was talking to him a few months ago, and he was telling me Drew, when he was WWE champion, told Adam, I'll give you like every Friday or once a week, I'll do press for you as WWE champion. So that was really cool. Drew,
that's awesome.
Sorry to break kayfabe, but Drew loved doing press and promoting himself, WWE, all that stuff. So the character work right now, though, it's been phenomenal because him as a babyface was getting kind of stale and he needed to change things up. And obviously in that situation, going heel is the way to go. Yep. But the character work, as far as like him kind of like coming off like this condescending, I'm trying to think the best way to describe it. It's like he's talking as if he's being like sincere, but really it's condescending, and it's like it's all benefiting him. And it's just interesting. His whole initial reasoning for kind of going this way or going mad, going crazy, is because he was so paranoid that he was always losing. Well, one, he didn't get the win in front of a crowd, so that's been eating at him all this time. And people, I remember, was it Xavier Woods last year was poking the bear. It's like, oh, you never won in front of a crowd. Like, if people were poking the big bear, remind him that you never won the title in front of an audience, and like your accomplishments are a little bit not as important because of that. And so that kind of ate at him. And then the opportunity when he wanted to win in front of a big crowd in the UK, the bloodline cost him. So he hates anyone bloodline related, and that's kind of anger's been fueling him, and which led to him going heel, and he's been paranoid at people, and he's just so upset. But in many ways, you gotta give Triple H or whoever creative, the powers that be, credit. Heels now under WWE or under Triple H's regime, their motive makes sense. It's very humanized. You understand, like, I understand why Drew went heel. Like, you can make the argument if I was in that situation, I'd probably do the same thing. Like, I would be pissed too. Like I'd be pissed at Cody. You brought Jey Uso. I see him, even though he's all good and trying to patch his errors in the past. I still see him as a member of the bloodline. He cost me my big opportunity, so I hate him no matter what. And so you understand Drew's reasoning. You may not agree with it, but at least you understand where he's coming from. But now where he's going, like this past Monday, he's poking the bear of CM Punk. He's like, Australia, Elimination Chamber, it was a really tough match. And, he said he had like a busted eardrum, and the doctor said, maybe I not make it to WrestleMania. But I said, no, I will make it to WrestleMania. I will not be like CM Punk. And so he's like just sticking it to CM Punk that he's better than him. And then, he even sits, he sits down like CM Punk, cross-legged in the ring, middle of the ring, telling the cameraman, don't film up my skirt. Like, just like the kill, like it's just those little shows off his personality. And then, but this big motive, the other thing too, he's getting wins, kind of like things happening in his way. Like he was able to sneak a win at Elimination Chamber. What was on Raw a couple weeks ago, he was able to pull off a win because of someone else's help. And he's like, okay, I'll take it.
Exactly.
So he's benefiting. He's not necessarily cheating himself, but he's benefiting from other people's actions. And so, like I said, the condescending attitude and like, Punk, I know you don't drink, so I celebrate by drinking for both of us. And so it's just this condescending attitude. The character work is great. It's working. And, for me, I really want to see him win at WrestleMania from a big crowd. And even though he's a heel, I'll still cheer for him when he wins or if he wins.
I mean, we talk about finishing the story. That's the story, and the Cody one too, obviously. But I mean, I feel like one of the first stories that has to be finished is Drew McIntyre winning a world championship in this company in front of fans. Already a two-time WWE champion, but neither of those wins came in front of a crowd back in 2020. We now have that at WrestleMania, whatever this is going to be, WrestleMania 40 coming up in April. And I feel like this is the perfect opportunity. Rollins has been champion long enough. And the funny thing is, this would not have happened if Punk was still healthy. If Punk was still healthy and we got Rollins and Punk, which we were going to, I don't even know what they were going to do with Drew McIntyre and Mania. And I don't think it would have been Cody either. I know that was a report at one point that we're not going to do Cody and Drew. And Cody was always going to do probably what he's doing now. So I don't know what Drew would have done. Maybe involved in the Intercontinental title mix. I don't know. But
I was going to say, it's kind of a happy accident here. Yeah. It's unfortunate not seeing CM Punk, who just returned to the company, to see him get his main event opportunity at a WrestleMania. And it would have been perfect with Seth Rollins. The story was right there. As far as, when he returned at Survivor Series War Games, Seth was so pissed. And then they're both from Chicago. I know technically Seth from Iowa, but he's more or less from Chicago. So it could have been the Battle of Chicago, who's Chicago's real son here. And it was a natural, easy story to follow. Seth versus CM Punk. And, CM Punk, if the reports are true, he got eliminated at Royal Rumble, but win Chamber and get his main event opportunity finally at a Mania that he's never gone. He's accomplished everything else, but not get a main event opportunity at WrestleMania. That's his story too. There's a lot of people with unfinished stories, but unfortunately him getting injured. But now, like I said, happy accident. Now for Drew, this is a great opportunity for him in finishing his story of winning a world title in front of the crowd. And I'm excited for that opportunity. And, CM Punk, he can still talk. So I still hope they use him for some form of segments, using his mouthpiece for something. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, especially come with Drew this week, it was reported from, I think, BWE, a source I don't think is all that credible, but they had said that Drew had re-signed. And then it came out from Alex McCarthy of Mail Sport, I believe, or Daily Mail, rather. I think that's the source, that he had said that Drew is not re-signed as of right now. What do you believe is currently? I mean, I believe that he's currently not re-signed, and I think he ultimately will at this point. Or do you think otherwise? Especially with all the Punk talk too, I feel like they wouldn't have done that if they're. I don't know. Do you think they're under the impression that Drew will resign? And do you think he will? It's tough.
My heart is thinking Drew resigned, but he's probably like, let's keep it a secret. Like, I really want this a secret, because if it's known that he resigned, then people are going to think, oh, as a reward, they're going to give him the world championship win. I think having that mindset, we don't know, then it creates more doubt on what the finish is going to be at WrestleMania. It's like, oh, if he didn't resign, maybe he's just going to do the job and let Seth retain, and then he's going to be on his way and leave the company. I know some people are saying, oh, I want to see him go elsewhere and fresh start. I'm like, no, like,
why would he need to? What would he even do in AEW at this point?
They got too many people already. They're about to get Okada and all this stuff. Like
they don't need him.
They don't need Drew. Like Drew Galloway's cool, but Drew McIntyre is the moneymaker right there. Like I want to see him shine, and the character's working right now.
Yeah, let's
keep that momentum going and see where that can go throughout the spring and summer. Him as a world champion, what that mentality, the heel mentality he has right now, what kind of character work he can do with that as a world champion. That's going to be fascinating. And I think that's going to be interesting. I'd rather see that play out. My only, how can I say this? The only thing I could think of, I don't know what Sheamus' status is. We know we know they're best friends.
Yep.
Who knows what they talk about privately? This is me just speculating.
Yeah.
We know over in AEW, they got friends over there. Miro's over there. They're buddies, in their weddings and whatnot. I'm always wondering, like, what can that lead to? Like, could they go be with their buddies over in AEW? I don't know. Mm-hmm. I don't want that. Me personally, I want Sheamus to stay. I want Drew to stay. I feel like Drew now with this new character, it's a whole fresh take for him, and there's so much fresh new stories they can do with that, and let him take the ball and run with it and see what they can do. Fresh matchups. That's another thing. We were talking about matchups earlier. Seth has had almost a year. I mean, he won it in May last year, so he's had a long title reign. Let Drew become champion and then get some fresh matchups in that main event scene on Raw as well. So I feel like the wrestling fan in me is like, I'm wondering if maybe he did resign, but they just want to keep it a secret just to keep that element of surprise and what is going to happen. But then the other thing too, maybe Drew wants to take just time off. I mean, he's been going.
I was thinking, yeah.
Just heal up and rest, take time off and rest his body. And maybe that's the thing. He's like, or maybe he re-signed, but maybe the stipulation is he gets to take time off still. But then that sucks. Then that means he would lose at WrestleMania.
Exactly, yeah.
So my heart wants him to win WrestleMania, and therefore that means he re-signed with the company.
I hope so. I think if they can keep it quiet until then he's re-signed. Because that's the thing. If he really wants some time off, which he definitely deserves, I want him to get that time off. But I also want him as world heavyweight champion. I don't really think we need Rollins as world champion beyond Mania. Now, you can solve that issue with Damian cashing in, becoming champion, but I really do think Drew needs to be champion coming out of Mania with the heel run that he's on right now and the momentum he has. I just feel like it makes the most sense. And I just feel like, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, you just said Damian Priest, like, do you think he's worthy of winning a world championship? I feel like he's had the briefcase, but if he was to win it, would people really get excited for that? I mean, normally I think a lot of people with the briefcase are like, I cannot wait to see them win. The way he's been right now, I don't know if he was to win, people would be like, oh, Damian Priest is the world champion. And I love Damian Priest. Great guy.
Sure.
But just the current character of him on TV, he hasn't been built up or maintained as like a main eventer. So I just don't know it'd be believable. Maybe it's a fail cash in if that's the case.
I hope not. We've had so many of those in the last couple of years. I hope now. I mean, I do want him to cash in successfully, but you're right. He's not in the same level of a Rollins or a Drew or a Cody right now. It could be different perception-wise coming out of Mania. I mean, he's still currently one half of the tag team champions. They might be waiting until he loses that championship to really push him towards that next level. It's hard to say.
And he does
I think he's worthy.
And when did he win it? July? No, June. It was late June in London. So he still has, after Mania, a couple months still. I think everyone was so like impatient, like he needs to cash it right now. It's like, well, no, it's a full year.
Yeah. No one's ever waited the full year, man. I think they can wait until the actual pay-per-view. I've said this before, but they've never done that before.
Yeah.
I know he's a heel, so having him cash in advance would be weird, like announcing it for that pay-per-view come like June or whatever, but I think it'd be cool if he's like, hey, I'm going to cash in for that show. And then, It's
like, oh my God, I've less than 24 hours now. Like there's a countdown, Damian's countdown. So
I think it'd be entertaining. I think it would be pretty like fucked up if he won the championship on that show via the cash in by announcing it. He wins the belt, and then that night's Money in the Bank winner wins the belt from him, which would be pretty messed up. But again, there's so many different ways you can go about it, though. I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. But they're keeping the Drew thing a surprise, whether it's re-signed or not. Shawn Spears, they kept his return under wraps going into NXT on Tuesday. They've been airing those vignettes for these random, I don't even know how to describe them on NXT for the past month. And it ended up being Shawn Spears, the former Ty Dillinger in WWE, spending the last 5 years in AEW, departing earlier this year. And the perfect 10. He's back now, but he's doing the AEW gimmick in WWE. So, I mean, it's not Okada by any means. And I think this is just a matter of, hey, listen, he probably lives in the area. It's a good pickup for them as far as he has experience. He's had a home in NXT for a long time. They know who he is. He can work with younger talent. I have no issue with the person. I mean, I don't really care all that much personally. He's not going to win the NXT title. It is what it is. But I think the element of the coolest thing, they were able to keep that under wraps until it was revealed on Tuesday. So what were your first impressions? What were your thoughts? What was going through your mind seeing Ty Dillinger on Tuesday's show? Shawn Spears, rather.
Well, the like what you said, like the look was like, his Shawn Spears look that we've seen in AEW, and also like I've seen him do it at Indie Date here in the Bay Area. So it's really cool. You think about it, Cody Rhodes, Shawn Spears, Andrade, Jade Cargill,
CM Punk.
Yeah. The only one, I mean, Brian Pillman Jr., he got a whole different, rebranding, new name. But what I'm getting at is these people coming over from AEW get to more or less keep Andrade as well, keep their gimmick, the same gimmick. Yeah. They're not being like, if they're a former WWE person, have to go back to their previous WWE look, gimmick, all that stuff. Which
was the case in the past, yeah.
Yeah, but they're keeping their current gimmick just carried over here. So that's kind of cool. It really shows a new regime is in charge, and they're like letting the wrestler keep whatever presentation they want. So that's a cool sign there. For Shawn Spears, as we know, him and oh my God, the blonde guy, the video game guy, they have the school.
Tyler Breeze.
Yes. Breeze. Sorry. Yeah. They do have a wrestling school down there as well. And so maybe, I'm just guessing, maybe Shawn wants going to NXT. He seems like a good person, therefore help the young kids down there, the developmental kids, the young wrestlers, upcoming wrestlers. So maybe that's also it. Like, he already has a wrestling school. NXT is the home of the developmental talent. And I think that's important, having some veterans there wrestle with the younger kids to help them get ready for that next level. Because if you have two green wrestlers go at it, you're not gonna be able to learn as well, but you could work with a veteran in the ring. That's a great opportunity. So sure, for Shawn Spears, it's a great way for him to give back, help out. And I think it's a great hire for the NXT brand. You look at him, also Baron Corbin's been down there for a minute now. The Good Brothers are showing up there now. Other veterans have come and gone there. I mean, look at Dolph helping Braun Breaker last year. So I can see nothing but good in this. Now, obviously, I see the jokes. He's the old kid in the young, like Billy Madison. I saw some meme. He's like the old kid in the young kid class. But I'm glad that they're bringing in veterans to help the young talent get over and just work better in the ring. With anything, when you're around like experienced people, that helps elevate your game as well. So I can only see it as a positive thing, as what this could lead. Yeah, who knows what it could lead to for him personally, career-wise there, accomplishments, championships, if that. But if anything, great opportunity, and for him to find work again. And it's funny. I saw a lot of people joking. It's like, wow, Cody Rhodes got Shawn Spears, that friend back, but not QT Marshall. So
hey, I'm not complaining. I have sub-zero interest in seeing QT Marshall and WWE, let alone even AEW. But I'm sure he's a great guy. No interest in seeing him on an on-air screen role for that company.
Exactly.
He is no world champion material, as he probably thinks he is. But as we wind down here, Huey, I'm going to throw a couple matches your way for Revolution on Sunday, coming up in Greensboro, North Carolina, which I'm surprised I got that right. That's exactly where it's going to be. I didn't know that was the exact location until I just said that right now. So a loaded card per usual. It's a pretty stacked card. Honestly, like every pay-per-view of theirs is usually pretty good to great. This honestly on paper looks like one of their strongest shows in some time. And even with some of the random like thrown together undercard matches, that's par for the course with AEW, but this still is shaping up to be a pretty great show. I got to mention this, the All-Star Scramble match, replacing the Meat Madness match. I mean, this was all random shit they added at the last minute, but as of right now, it's going to be involving Jericho, Wardlow, Hobbs, Archer, Hook, Brian Cage, and two more people to be announced on Rampage and Collision that I won't spoil here, but they're probably not winning. But of those names, does anyone come to mind that you think might win this match? I mean, they're going to win a future AEW World Championship match, is worth mentioning.
So I know Wardlow, he's real. I mean, a part of the Undisputed Kingdom.
Yeah.
His mission, his purpose right now is to win the AEW World Championship and hand it over to Adam Cole.
Yeah.
Like, my gut is thinking maybe Wardlow should win here, but I don't know. Adam Cole's not nowhere healed yet, fully 100%. So I don't know Wardlow. That storyline, I'm guessing that the storyline for Undisputed Kingdom is Wardlow's going to win, but he's going to be hesitant to give it to Adam Cole, and that's going to lead to maybe Wardlow leaving the faction and him going babyface, fighting Adam Cole. I think that story is better ready to be told when Adam Cole's 100% heel. So I don't see Wardlow necessarily winning here. I'm thinking it has to be someone, whoever comes out of the World Championship match. As far as a credible opponent, I'm thinking maybe Powerhouse Hobbs is due for something. I am biased. He is my boy.
He's a California guy.
He's my boy here from the Bay Area. I'm going to see him wrestle locally here in a few weeks. But no,
nice.
Hobbs, he's my guy. You know, he lives down here too. My gut is thinking Powerhouse Hobbs, but I'm just thinking, kind of depending what the AEW World Champion who leaves the pay-per-view that night's champion kind of determines this.
Yep.
As far as Hook already had a championship match with Samoa Joe. Jericho, he doesn't need the win. He's already done everything an AEW can. I'm just, if hypothetically, not to jump ahead, if Swerve wins, it could maybe be interesting with Brian Cage because they're part of the same faction.
True. That would be interesting, yeah.
But my gut's Powerhouse Hobbs. They need to do something with the Don Callis family. They got to get that going.
He just beat Guevara last week on Collision, I think, or Rampage, or one of those shows.
Yeah.
I think it was Collision, did Hobbs. So he has some wins under his belt. He beat Jericho a couple months ago. He's got a couple credible wins, but they really haven't taken him to that next level yet. He's not going to win the world championship if he wins here, but it's better than nothing. So I do have Hobbs winning as well, I think.
Okay.
They got FDR and Blackpool Combat Clubs, John Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli. Nothing on the line here. I mean, this could go either way. Their first match was great. I think this will be a great match too. Do you see one team having an edge over the other? I think FTR might win this, but what do you think? So,
real quick, I do want to say what's kind of cool about this year's Revolution. It's a lot of one-on-one matches. Normally at the pay-per-view, they do double digits as far as number of matches, and then it's a lot of multi-person matches. So they're trying to get as many people on the card, on the pay-per-view as they can, and which makes for a long night. So I like there's a lot of one-on-one matches here. With this one, I mean, Blackpool Combat Club's been built up really well. I mean, Moxley and Claudia, it's been something new for both of them because they've both been doing a lot of single stuff. So it's just to keep something fresh for them.
Yep.
Because the main event, which I think it's going to be Sting, Darby Allin, okay. It's kind of connected with that as well because the tag title.
Yeah,
I am leaning towards FTR because we never got that. Was it the fourth FTR versus Young Bucks?
Young Bucks. Yeah.
So I can see FTR winning if, spoiler alert, if that's what the main event plays out to be. So I can see FTR winning here just to get to that tag title match.
I agree. Yeah, they teased it late last year, never went back to it. I got FTR winning for that same reason. TNT Championship, Christian Cage taking on defending against Daniel Garcia. Now, this is interesting because it looked like it was going to be Christian and Adam Copeland on the show.
Yeah.
And Garcia getting the shot instead. I like that a lot more because I don't think Christian and Copeland, the rematch for what would be, I think, the second or third time, because they had technically two matches in the same night at World's End. The match on Dynamite before that. Their next match does not need to involve the TNT title. So I think Garcia can win here. I mean, the guy's been building momentum. He's getting over gradually. Christian's amazing. I don't think he needs the belt at this point. So I'm going to go Daniel Garcia becoming champion. But what do you think is going to happen?
Man, I'm with you. It's kind of interesting for this big pay-per-view of the first one of the new year. Yeah, no Adam Copeland on here. He's got the night off, which
unless he interferes or something, which I feel like he might.
Yeah, and that's the thing. He could totally be a part of the show in that capacity. So because I'm with you, like them having a third match already. It's like, how do you top like that hardcore match they had on Dynamite?
Exactly.
So I don't know how you could top that. And this is like a regular one-on-one match. So it makes sense for Garcia to get the opportunity instead just to change it up. I'm leaning towards Christian Cage retaining just because he's been so good as the TNT champion. But then again, you brought up a good point. Adam Copeland could interfere, cost him a title. Daniel Garcia, he's been around for a long time as far as one of the young guys in that company. He needs to get, they need to start pushing the younger talent. I mean, I think it was Tony Khan said 2024 is going to be a big year for AEW. So maybe them resetting things post still CM Punk leaving the company, get back to the old ways, got to start pushing the young talent again. Daniel Garcia has been there a long time, and I think that's a great reward for him, winning the TNT Championship, kind of reset things, reset that division. Christian's had it for long enough, and then if Adam Copeland does interfere, then that can lead off to their match that could be potentially for what, Double or Nothing. But then there's rumors of there could be an April pay-per-view now named Dynasty, theoretically.
There probably will be. I forgot about that.
Yeah. So the Adam Copeland factor is very much out there. So I could see Daniel Garcia winning because of that.
Yeah, I could certainly see that as well. I feel like that'd make the most sense. I feel like Garcia could really benefit from it. But like you said, if Christian retains, I'm not complaining. The guy's been amazing, and his whole "your father's dead" thing is just amazing. So you think it would have gone old by now, but it's still fucking really funny to me.
Yeah.
He plays the role amazingly well. Will Ospreay's first AEW match is a full-blown member of the AEW roster taking on Konosuke Takeshita, another fellow member of the Don Callis family. This is an interesting matchup. I think it'll be a great matchup. Will Ospreay has to win, but it should spell the end of his time in the group, if not soon after. So is Will Ospreay winning a lock here, you think?
Yeah, it has to. He just made his official AEW debut part of the roster this week. But one, I mean, technically they're both part of the Don Callis family right now. So Don Callis's reasoning a couple weeks ago, it's like, I'll have two of my guys face each other. That way we're both winners. Like the whole rationale doesn't make sense because hypothetically, what happened if one of them gets hurt? One of your guys got hurt because of your stupid decision on paper, theoretically. On paper, yes, it's going to be an amazing match. They're both phenomenal wrestlers. I'm looking forward to just the matchup. But as far as the kayfabe story here, it doesn't make sense. Don Callis' reasoning for having this match in the first place. But yes, Will Ospreay needs to win. It's his first match officially part of the AEW roster. Yeah, you got to get the win. But I feel bad for Takeshita. Like, that is someone who I think should have been pushed to the main event scene by now. And, well, maybe we'll get there at some point in 2024. He is someone I'm a big fan of, and I think he's destined for some great things. It's just they need to give him some. I mean, the Don Callis family, like, I really want that to be successful because when I interviewed Powerhouse Hobbs, I was like, it's really cool. The Don Callis family, like the Bobby Heenan family. Like, this is really cool. Like, Don Callis
should be,
it creates this dominating faction that runs AEW, but they haven't done that. They haven't. I mean, same thing for the United Kingdom, Undisputed Kingdom. Like, they got these like heel factions, but they're not like doing enough with them. But yes, anyway, Don Callis family. But yes, Ospreay should win, and then maybe goes babyface after this. That totally makes sense for that.
I mean, you mentioned it right there. Undisputed Kingdom having formed back at World's End, still not really having done anything. Adam Cole's still hurt. I know the Kingdom are the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions, like anyone gives a shit. But, Roderick Strong's going to get a shot on Sunday at the International Championship against Orange Cassidy. Again, I feel like this is a must-win. There is no way they fucking lose this match, right? Or Roderick Strong, that is.
Yes, Roderick Strong needs to win this title just to start giving that faction some credibility. And it's like, okay, you're the big bad faction that's going to run AEW. Well, you start getting some titles so that way you got like everyone's going to start coming after you guys. Like, that's how you take control of the company. You start winning all the championships, and very much how Undisputed Era did in NXT when they were all champions. They ran the place. It was their show, their promotion. So yes, Roderick Strong needs to win just to get the Undisputed Kingdom, to get them going and just building them back up as a top faction. Because it's just kind of, they're just there, but they haven't really done anything with it yet. So and I know injuries have been a big part of that and all that, but yes, Roderick Strong must win.
Yeah, this is a must-win situation for him. Timeless Toni Storm defending the AEW Women's World Championship against Deonna Purrazzo. I think this will be a great match. Timeless Toni Storm is just so hot right now, and Deonna has momentum as well. But I feel like between Jamie Hayter hopefully back at some point. You got Mercedes Moné coming in soon. Timeless Toni Storm has some more opponents on the horizon. She's either losing the championship at some point because of Mariah May or to Mariah May. And I don't know if that happens here. I feel like it'll happen a little bit later on. I feel like Timeless Toni Storm will retain here, but do you think Deonna Purrazzo has a chance of walking out, becoming the new champ?
No, I think Toni Storm retains just to give her some more big wins under this current title reign for herself. And keep in mind, in a few weeks, theoretically, AEW is going to be in Boston. We're all speculating Mercedes Moné is going to make her debut there. So I think if Mercedes gets kind of pushed into that main event title scene pretty quickly, it would be a better matchup or more intriguing matchup for the fans to be interested in if it was Toni Storm. No offense to Deonna Purrazzo, but like, popularity right now is with Toni Storm. And so that's a bigger matchup at some point in the near future with Toni Storm and Mercedes Moné.
Definitely. AEW Continental Crown Championship, Eddie Kingston taking on Bryan Danielson, a match we've seen several times already. They've split some wins. They have great chemistry, no doubt. If Danielson loses, he has to shake Eddie's hand. So that's the whole kind of caveat here. Eddie just became the Continental Crown Champion back at World's End 2 months ago. Too soon, I would say, to take the belt off of him here. Danielson doesn't need the belt. Again, what do you think? Is there a chance Bryan Danielson wins the belt, or does Eddie retain, you think?
Nah, I think Bryan Danielson on this like retirement tour, if you want to call it, like the last full year of competing full time. I think if he gets one last title reign in this full time run of his, it has to be the AEW championship at some point.
I agree.
No offense to the Continental Championship, but he doesn't need it. It's more important to Eddie and his character and what that means for him. So I see Eddie winning here and then getting that handshake, that visual of Bryan Danielson shaking his hand. That's going to be a big moment there, feel good moment, if you want to call it that. So I think that handshake is more important than Bryan Danielson walking around with the title that he doesn't need anyway, because he's going to be, I'm sure, doing other more maybe New Japan stuff, and he's just going out there and having fun and just wrestling whoever he wants.
Yeah, and that is part of it too. I know the Continental Crown Championship includes that New Japan Strong title and the Ring of Honor title. I can see him doing the Strong title stuff in New Japan. The Ring of Honor stuff, absolutely not. He's not working those fucking tapings. He might work one of their pay-per-views potentially. I know he did Final Battle. That just is not happening. Like you said, if he's going to win a championship, wholeheartedly agree it should be the AEW World Championship, most definitely. Final two matches here already. The three-way for the AEW World Championship. Samoa Joe, Hangman Adam Page, Swerve Strickland. Hangman, kind of going heel right now. They're teasing. Swerve going babyface. Joe just winning the belt. Huey, who we got going over here?
So, full disclosure, I just got a last-minute interview with Swerve tomorrow morning.
Awesome.
So I'm like, part of my question, or one question, I'm trying to figure out how I want to word it.
Yeah.
Hangman right now, if we saw kind of like this double turn, Swerve kind of become more babyface now. Hangman's more heel, but he's just because he's more like, his motivation's like, I want to prevent you from being AEW World Champion. That's like my goal right now. It's like eating at him. I can almost see Hangman want to stick it to Swerve and purposely lose or help Samoa Joe win, like, eating the pin or tapping out just to stick it to Swerve Strickland. Like, haha, I'm going to lose. It's more important to me to lose so that way you don't become champion instead of me winning the championship. Like, I kind of feel like that could be potentially an outcome here. So that's like in my head, I'm trying to think, how would I word it to Swerve is like, are you concerned that Hangman might just try to throw the match just so that way you don't win the title? And even though Samoa Joe retains, I'm trying to think how I want to phrase that in my head, but
great question. Yeah.
But Swerve is so hot right now, his momentum, and we're talking about momentum like Cody Rhodes earlier and stuff. You only have so many opportunities when someone's red hot to capitalize and get them that moment, that win. Now, for me, I was kind of thinking Samoa Joe retains here, and then you do Samoa Joe versus Swerve one-on-one at Double or Nothing, and let Swerve. I have no doubt Swerve's winning the world title this year. That's going to happen. But which pay-per-view? Now, could they have Samoa Joe retain here And then Swerve, can they hold off until May and let him win the actual title there? Because Double or Nothing theoretically is most known as a bigger show in AEW standards. That's why I'm kind of leaning towards Samoa Joe retaining. But my concern is, can Swerve maintain that momentum for another 2 months? Can Tony Khan and his team keep that momentum going? And with this booking decision, sometimes I'm a little worried. Can they maintain that? That's my concern.
That's a great question. I think they can, because they've been able to do it so far. But like you said, history has shown us otherwise, indicated otherwise with this company. I am completely with you, though. I think Joe retains here. He's also on an absolute roll right now as Joe. The guy's killing it. This is probably the last world title reign he'll ever have. So just let him enjoy it. Get another defense in on Sunday. Have him lose it in April or probably May, like you said, a Double or Nothing. And then Swerve doesn't have to eat the loss here. Like you said, the great question is Swerve is a perfect way to word it. Because I feel like there is a chance that Hangman could cost Swerve the championship simply by tapping out or whatever to Joe. And you got to avoid that if you're Swerve, obviously, from a storyline standpoint. But no, you're definitely right. I think Swerve loses here, keep the belt on Joe for a little longer. And honestly, moreover than any of that, it's not the main event. So if you want to give Swerve's big moment, you don't want to overshadowed by Sting's final farewell. And that's going on last. They've already confirmed that. So speaking of which, I mean, listen, if Swerve wins, no complaints here. The guy's amazing. Like you said, he's winning the belt, not if, but when. But I don't know if you have it go on second to last, if you're going with the tag team title match, which they need to do. And that's the AEW World Tag Team titles on the line. Sting's final match, him and Darby Allin against the Bucks. I mean, I think we're both on the same page here. You teased it earlier, but I think the Bucks are winning. I think we get new champs. Now, listen, I would ideally like to see Sting win, retain the titles as champion, vacate him. I don't give a shit. I want to see Sting go out on top. He's been undefeated for this long. It doesn't need to happen that way. He's an old school guy. He's going to want to put over the Bucks on the way out. I get that. Totally understand. I don't hate the Bucks. I just think it'd be really cool if Sting were able to retain and retire as champion. But I think Bucks win here, though.
Yes. Oh, by the way, we were talking earlier in the show here, talking about seeing Rock act like 1998 Rock again. And then last night on Dynamite, you see Sting coming down from the rafters again. I'm like mind blown. Like my childhood is like playing out all over again, like flashbacks here. So seeing Sting come down last night, make the save with Darby Allin getting the beat down, and then Ric Flair with his own little swerve, which was poor Ric Flair. I mean, you shouldn't be doing that with Ric Flair in the ring. Like, just don't do that.
Get him out of the
just get him out of there. Yes. I gotta give AEW credit here, because what they've done with Sting in the last, how long has he been with the company? 3 years?
3 years, yeah.
They've really handled him, I think. How can I say this? How AEW's treated Sting, it's been a great way to finish his career, because I think a lot of people did not want Sting to end his career the way it ended with WWE, kind of end with the loss with Triple H, the injury from Seth Rollins. It's like, oh, this legendary career, and don't want to end on that note. So I got to give AEW credit, the way they've been really just being gentle, or what's the word I'm trying to think of? They really been doing good by him, and really like these last 3 years have been doing some amazing work with Sting, and that he's going out on top, and they've really been doing a good job of just re-establishing his legacy. And it's a great way, these last 3 years, this run's been a really great way for him to end his career and look back on it. I know in pro wrestling, you go out on your back. That is kind of normally the rule, is like, if it's your last match, wherever, you got put over the next talent, the young talent. Here, though, it would be interesting if Sting and Darby win, and then where do you go from there? Could that be like Darby's got to find a new tag team partner, like Sting vacates his half of the championship, and Darby has got to find a new tag team partner? That could be like an interesting story beat. Like, who's the replacement there? But like I said, my thinking with pro wrestling is the veterans on their way out got to put over the young talent. So I would think theoretically the Young Bucks need to win, but it is Sting's last match. Greensboro, legendary venue for him and his history. If it's the last match, do you want the crowd to go home on a good note though? Like, do you want the crowd to go home with the Young Bucks winning and people be like, boo? Like, that's my only concern. It's like, they might not want the crowd to leave on a sour note, theoretically, with the Young Bucks, the heels winning, unless Sting and Darby get a beatdown afterwards. But is that still
probably or a post-match promo or something like that?
So the professional in me thinks the Young Bucks need to win because that's what you're supposed to do. When you're retiring, you're leaving, you put over the next person. And I know Sting is very old school like that. But then I'm thinking about the crowd and their reaction. So it's like you let Sting and Darby win, and then you figure out afterwards, like Darby gets a new tag team partner, and that like you can make a whole angle of like the search.
I agree. Yeah.
So
I feel like that'd be the most interesting way to go, but they're probably not going to do that. So I understand it.
I'm most likely thinking Young Bucks are going to win.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think we get new champs in the Young Bucks, and then from there they can kind of figure out what to do with the Bucks and whatever, and with Sting, or rather Darby Allin on his own. But I think Sting closes out the show regardless, hopefully on pay-per-view, cutting a promo, addressing the audience, closing out his career on a high note, even that way, even if he's not going out with a win. That would be totally fine by me. But it's going to be an amazing atmosphere regardless in North Carolina, hopefully with some familiar faces from the past and iconic career of Sting.
Lex Luger.
And
I want Lex
Luger, definitely. I feel like that's got to be a guarantee if WWE allows it, which I think it'd be dumb if they didn't. So I saw the Kevin Nash thing. I think he just didn't want to be there because out of loyalty to the company. He said initially they said no, but then he retracted that and said, no, I just don't really want to do it. So I don't know. Whatever.
I mean, Triple H is his buddy. So
yeah. Yeah, I kind of understand it. But Lex hopefully will be there. I think he will in the front row supporting his friend. And it's going to be a great night of Revolution. I'm looking forward to the show on Sunday. It's stacked for sure. It's a lot to get excited about right now in WWE and AEW and just wrestling as a whole as we kind of go forward on the road to WrestleMania. But Huey, this has been awesome, dude. I really appreciate you coming on last minute to talk all these things with me. Chamber, you being here on Monday, Revolution, and all this other sort of stuff. But you mentioned at the beginning, throw it back again. Where can people find the In the Click podcast?
Yeah, so if whatever you listen to podcasts, take out your phones, search for In the Click. That's KLIQ, just like Kevin Nash, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, those guys. Their group, Scott Hall, X-Pac, all that. So yeah, In the Click. We're on all the major podcast platforms. If you can, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We've been doing a lot more videos over the last few months. So yeah, you see my beautiful mug there a lot more. So yeah, please subscribe to In the Click's YouTube channel. Follow us on social at In the Click. Email us intheclick@gmail.com. If you want to follow me personally, Facebook at Baby Huey Official, Twitter and Instagram at Baby Huey 83. If you want to listen to the radio station I work at, 1077thebone.com, that's the place to be for all that. Yeah, man, thank you so much. Sorry if I can easily ramble on forever talking wrestling here. So I really appreciate the opportunity to be here and talking wrestling with so much fun. And yeah, it's an amazing time. It's the road to WrestleMania. This is like the best time of the year to be a wrestling fan.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. I'm sure we'll chop it up again soon, probably on your show. And like I said, it was awesome to get you here on my show for the first time on Leap Day. No less, I'm a mark for this sort of stuff. So I've never actually recorded the show on Leap Day before. So, we can't honor the anniversary of this for another 4 years, which is kind of wild. But until then, though, I'll see you at WrestleMania. I look forward to talking to you then.
Absolutely. Yes. I look forward to that. Never been to Philly before, so I'm really excited for that opportunity. And, eating some cheesesteaks with you and everyone else out there.
I look for definitely, man. You got to find the right place. I went through, I told you over text, but a place called Gino's when I was there for the Rumble 5-6 years ago, and it was great. You got to find the right place, but once we lock down locations for where everyone's staying and doing stuff, from there it's smooth sailing and it's all the fun stuff. So I look forward to it.
I was gonna say my barber is from Philadelphia originally. He's already texted me some locations and even some other places to go that like real locals go to, and not the touristy spots. So, but then again, I want to go check out some of the tourist spots. Like, I want to, I want to see it, and then like I want to run up the stairs like Rocky Balboa, and I want to do all of that stuff. So yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Definitely the Rocky stairs. I actually have to watch Rocky first before then. Like CM Punk, I've never seen the first movie before, but that's my homework over the next month.
Whoa. Are you serious?
I'm serious.
Oh my God. Okay.
Any of them.
Yeah, so we got to do a Rocky review.
before I see you or I chat with you next, I will definitely have watched the movie. And we won't talk tomorrow because I probably won't see you by tomorrow. But at some point, definitely before I see you, I'll put it that way.
Okay.
Mania.
Okay.
I'll
Thank
watch
you.
the movie. We'll talk about it for sure.
Oh, real quick, and just a heads up. So Rocky IV, there's the original theatrical release. And then a couple years ago, Stallone did a new edition, an alternate version, director's cut. And it was actually, I think that was a better version. So I would love you to watch both of them and compare both of them as well.
Okay, I didn't know about that. All right.
Yes.
And then it came out the Creed movies too. So there's a lot to catch up on.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
I'll have to do that. Good luck with Swerve tomorrow. And people could check out your interview with him as well coming out before Revolution on Sunday.
Yeah.
But Huey, this has been awesome, man. I appreciate the time.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for listening to us. I really appreciate it. And yes, see you very soon. Okay.
Join Graham GSM Matthews and RJ Marceau every Thursday as they run down their weekly wrestling rants, offer expert analysis, host exclusive interviews, and more. Subscribe today on all your favorite podcast platforms and never miss an episode of WrestleRant Radio.